Galitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivashadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yat kripatamaham vande Shri Gurun Dinataranam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Hari Om Tat Sat. Shri Radha Gopinath Bhagwan ki Jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai. Samaveta Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai. Jai Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo. Hare Krishna. Let's continue our discussion on the 7th chapter of the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. The chapter is titled The Son of Drona Punished. Just to give a recap of what we discussed last week, Vyasadeva greeted Narada Muni in his ashram. Narada Muni gave him his instructions, and after the departure of Narada Muni, Vyasadeva starts to meditate on the western banks of river Saraswati in a place called as Samyaprasha. And while he is in meditation, he saw the Supreme Lord within his heart. Bhakti yogena manasi samyag vyavasite amale apashyad purusham purnam mayam chatadapashraim. He saw the Supreme Lord. He also saw the illusory potency of the Supreme Lord, known as Maya Devi, being under the full control of the Supreme Lord. So this is his vision. And then after meditating how this influence of Maya over the jivas can be counteracted, he then starts to write Srimad Bhagavatam. Anarthopasamam sakshad bhakti yogam adoksaje lokasya vijanato vidvams chakre satvata samhitam. The pangs of material miseries can be easily mitigated by taking shelter of Srimad Bhagavatam. Having come to this conclusion, Vyasadeva sits, writes, and he compiles it. He also meditates on the power of Bhakti Yoga. Yasyam Vaishruyamanayam Krishne Parama Purushe Bhakti Utpadyate Pumsa Shoka Moha Vayapaha. Simply by doing bhakti to the Supreme Lord, known as Adoksaja, one can get rid of shoka, lamentation, moha, illusion, bhaya, fear of everything in this material world. And then this Srimad Bhagavatam, after he wrote, it is specifically given here that he himself went through his work, like proofreading. He made some adjustments and he did this repeatedly. Goes to show how much Vyasadeva took pain to make sure that this message of Srimad Bhagavatam reaches us 5,000 years later and forever, without any flaws, without any mistakes. So Vyasadeva himself, it is given in these verses that Vyasadeva himself went through, revised his own work and made some corrections, improvised it, and then he taught this to his son, who is Shukadeva Goswami, who is himself an Atmarama. And this Srimad Bhagavatam, or for that matter, the glories of the Supreme Lord Krishna is very attractive, not only for the normal conditioned souls like us, but also or great sages and munis. Atmaramas chamunayo nirgaranta api urukrame. Kurvanti ahitukim bhaktim ittam bhuta gunahari. It is very attractive. It attracts the heart of even those who are very self-controlled, those who are self-satisfied as well. And after this background of Vyasadeva starting to write a Srimad Bhagavatam, and after propagating this knowledge to the whole world through his son and disciples, the narration of the Pandavas, and for that matter Parikshit Maharaj's background, is started here in this chapter. Shortly after the Kurukshetra war, the son of Dronacharya, known as Asvatthama, he had killed the five sleeping sons of the Pandavas. And when the Pandavas come to know about it, everyone tried to console the weeping wife of all of them, which is Mother Draupadi. And then Arjuna takes a vow that he would chase after the perpetrator, behead him and get his head, and he will present it to his wife Draupadi, and he tells Draupadi, you can stand on that head and you can take bath. So taking that vow, Arjuna, guided by Krishna, they go in pursuit of Asvatthama. And while Asvatthama is driving the chariot, his horses grow tired, and he is all too aware of the prowess of Arjuna and the position of Krishna as well. Knowing this, he, having no other resort, he starts to use Brahmastra. But unfortunately, he learned only one half of the mantra. As Confucius says, a little learning is a dangerous thing. Out of fear for his life, he hurls the Brahmastra, but he doesn't know how to retract it. The power of Brahmastra cannot be counteracted by any other weapon. So when Brahmastra was hurled, while Arjuna is still on the pursuit along with Krishna, after chasing after Asvatthama, at that time Arjuna could actually see in the horizon a blazing fire emitting scorching heat, and the light emanating from that was enveloping the whole world. When Arjuna sees and finds himself in that fearful situation, he takes shelter of the Supreme Lord Krishna. Krishna Krishna Mahabaho Bhaktanam Abhayankara Tvam Yeko Dayyamananam Apavargosi Samstritehe. Arjuna says, Krishna Krishna Mahabaho, O mighty armed Krishna. Bhaktanam Abhayankara, O Supreme Lord, who awards fearlessness in the hearts of his devotees. Bhaktanam Abhayankara. Tvam Yeko. Without you, in other words, no one but you. Tvam Yeko Dayyamananam. No one but you can eradicate the painful situation that is caused by the miseries of this material world in the lives of all the living entities. No one but you can save. So he takes the shelter of the Supreme Lord Krishna. He also glorifies Krishna, citing his transcendental qualities, stating his merciful condition. Why Krishna actually appears in this material world? It is only for reclaiming back all the fallen conditioned souls, and especially to attract those souls who are in the mode of goodness. So after having requested Krishna and pleased him with beautiful prayers, Arjuna is consoled by Krishna. Krishna tells Arjuna, don't worry Arjuna, this fire, this blazing heat is caused by the Brahmastra weapon that is released by Asvatthama. Even though he released this weapon, he doesn't know how to retract it. He doesn't fully realize the power of this Brahmastra. However, you are a very expert archer. one who knows not only how to release but also to retract. So as a counter to this Brahmastra released by Asvatthama, you release another Brahmastra and retract back both of them. So this is the solution Krishna gives to Arjuna. So Arjuna releases a second Brahmastra to counteract this, and as these two Brahmastra were starting to engage with each other, Arjuna retracts back both. So he neutralizes Brahmastra weapon this way. And then, having subdued this ultimate weapon of Asvatthama, Arjuna very skillfully goes and arrests him. He binds him. And then at that time, Krishna encourages Arjuna to kill Asvatthama, telling him you had made this vow that you would take the head of Asvatthama back to Draupadi as a gift. So delay no more, kill him. So this is what Krishna is telling to Arjuna. And at that time, Arjuna, he is thinking, I have told this vow to Draupadi in order to appease her. However, I'm also in double mind whether to kill him or not. Maybe I will just take him there. This is the thought process of Arjuna. And at that time, Krishna tells the military code of ethics situations when one is not supposed to kill an enemy. Mattam, pramattam, unmattam, suptam, balam, striyam, jadam. Krishna says that. Prapannam, viratam, beatam. So there are situations in war when one is not supposed to kill an enemy. When mattam, when the enemy is careless, at that time one is not supposed to attack and kill. Mattam, pramattam, when one is intoxicated. Unmattam, when one has become mad and insane. What's the point in killing? Mattam, pramattam, unmattam, suptam, when one is sleeping. Balam, when one is a child, one should not kill. One should not kill a child, even though the child may actually take an inimical stance. One should not kill. Striyam, same as with women. Suptam, balam, striyam, jadam. Jadam means foolish people. One should not kill. A Kshatriya should not kill a foolish person. Mattam, pramattam, unmattam, suptam, balam, striyam, jadam. Prapannam, when one has taken one's shelter, when one has surrendered, giving up one's arms and saying, please don't kill me, then one is not supposed to kill such a surrendered soul. Prapannam, viratam, when one is without a chariot, one should not kill such a person. And then finally it's also given beatam. Beatam means when one is fearful, when one is scared. One should spare one's life and move on. So in this way, Krishna says of all these different situations, when one's enemy is in ticks any of these boxes, then na ripam anti dharmavit. Ripu means enemy. Na ripam hanti means one should not kill. Hanti means to kill. Na ripam hanti dharmavit. This is the dharma of military. Now the reason why Krishna says this to Arjuna is suptam balam. This Brahmana, or Krishna says Brahma Bandhu, one who is born as the son of a Brahmana, but one who didn't exhibit the qualities of a Brahmana. That's why Krishna addresses him as Brahma Bandhu. He had killed Balam, who are innocent boys, 5 innocent kids. Balam, Suptam, they are sleeping. He ticked both the boxes. They were sleeping first of all, and second, they were Balam. They are still innocent kids. But he had killed them. So Krishna tells to Arjuna, kill him. Because he has violated the military code of war, kill him instantly. But Arjuna hesitates, and Arjuna tells to Krishna, it's better we bind him and let us take him back to the camp. Krishna, by inciting, by encouraging Arjuna, he is testing Arjuna. How much stable he is, and whether he is able to actually withstand the push of the situation, or he is still able to remain stable and do the right thing. Arjuna is a pure devotee of the Lord, and through Arjuna, Krishna is teaching us that people may actually change their nature, their behavior. They may not follow the path of Dharma. However, we should still stick to the path of Dharma, and we should act according to the instructions of Krishna, irrespective of whatever the situation says, irrespective of whatever we feel, being pushed by our emotions. Now, taking a step back, if Arjuna had gone ahead and killed Asvatthama, Arjuna himself would have violated the military code. How? Mattam, Pramattam, Unmattam, Suptam, Balam, Striyam, Jadam. Then the next set of conditions, if we watch it carefully, Prapannam, Viratam, and finally it's given Beatam. Beatam means fearful. Ashwathama is in a fearful condition. In fact, fearing for his life only, he used Brahmastra. So if Arjuna had gone ahead and killed, then he would have himself violated the code of war. But Arjuna didn't. But unfortunately, Ashwathama had violated. And because of that, Krishna asks Arjuna. So Arjuna binds him and he brings him to the camp. So there, when Asvatthama was actually brought to this camp where the Pandavas, along with Draupadi, were stationed, Draupadi is still lamenting the unfortunate killing of all her 5 sons. And here Arjuna is bringing the perpetrator, binding him, and he brought him like an animal. When Draupadi sees, mind you, she lost 5 of her sons. When Draupadi sees Asvatthama in that position, her motherly nature comes out and she tells to Arjuna, release him immediately. I can't stand seeing a Brahmana being treated like this. Please unbind him straight away. Prabhupada explains in the purport how normally a son of a Brahmana will be seen as a Brahmana, even though the Varna is determined only based on one's qualities. Janmana jayate Shudra samskarat bhaved dvija Veda patat bhaved vipra Brahma janatiti Brahmana. Only by birth, Janmana jayate Shudra. Everyone is born as a Shudra by birth. Samskarat bhaved dvija. By the process of samskara, one is known as twice born. Bhave dvija. Dvija means twice born or second birth. Biological birth is one, but after we take shelter of our Guru, by samskaras, we are actually given the second birth. And then we take yet another birth when we take Diksha from our Guru. The Vedic culture is such that one's consciousness is prepared even before one is conceived within the womb of one's mother. So here we can see in Vedic times also, there are like, Prabhupada mentions there are many samskaras. Samskaras means mental impressions. There are many events that happen in our lives which we tend to remember more, even without making any effort to remember. If I ask you to turn the pages of your life and tell me some childhood memories, all of you will be able to say it. Even though when you are actually living those memories, when you are actually living those experiences, you didn't make any special effort to remember. Why we remember and why we don't remember, only Krishna knows. Sarvasya chaham hridhi sannivista mata smritir jnanam apohanam cha vedaischa sarver ahameva vedya vedantakrit vedavid eva chaham mataha smritir jnanam apohanam cha. From me comes remembrance, knowledge and forgetfulness. Forgetfulness is also a great boon. Otherwise, if some painful situation happened in our life, if we keep on remembering that, we can't live life. We'll just live through a life of torture, remembering how we lost something or how we failed in something. So even forgetfulness is a great boon, something that will allow us to move on with life. The show must go on. So even before a child is actually born, samskaras are actually done. Garbhodana samskara is performed before the conception of the child. And then you have Pumsavana, Simantanayana, then after the child born, Jatakarma, Namakarana, and then Annaprashna, Vidyaramba, Upanayana, so on and so forth. Vivaha, and then Antyakriyashti, goes all the way from womb to tomb. So, samskarat bhaved dvija. When the samskaras are properly done, only then one is known as a dvija or twice born. Veda patat bhaved vipra. When one masters the Vedas, then one is given or one is treated with the respect of a person known as Vipra. Vipra is the title that's given. Sudama Vipra, the Brahmana friend of Krishna, he was a Vipra, he was a master in Vedas. Brahma janatiti Brahmana, only one who acts on the platform that one is not the body but one is spirit soul. Brahma janatiti, on that platform of Brahman, then one is known as Brahmana. So here Asvatthama is actually brought bound, even though he was born as the son of a Brahmana, which is Dronacharya, but he didn't act on the platform of Brahman. So he shouldn't be called as a Brahmana, nor should he be treated as a Brahmana. However, Draupadi, because of her very compassionate motherly nature, she tells to Arjuna, please unbind him, he is a Brahmana. So Prabhupada says, these are the symptoms of a pure devotee. Prabhupada writes in the purport of this verse that this is the symptom of a pure devotee. Even if an elder or a teacher commits something wrong, or even if other people commit anything wrong to one, a pure devotee is not disturbed, because a pure devotee is too busy in serving the Supreme Lord. So giving up any such enmity, giving up any temptation to retaliate, a pure devotee forgives and just moves on. I came across this beautiful quote of His Holiness Bhakticharya Swami Maharaj, who says, when it comes to forgiving, there is no question of once, twice or thrice. One should always forgive. And one needs to have strength to forgive. And that strength comes from detachment. Otherwise, if we hold a grudge, we'll keep on holding the grudge for the rest of our lives. Now, the person who is the perpetrator, they will suffer. as a result or as a consequence of their actions. Fine. But why should we suffer? The one who is actually is the victim of the situation. So they should move on, but the one who had caused the issue, the karma will take over. But one should not hold any grudge thinking, let me sit and watch how the karma is affecting that person. Because our life is just way too short, and whatever that we have at our disposal, prana, rater, diya, vacha, should be engaged in the service of Krishna. Otherwise, our whole life will go just in getting disturbed by one source of disturbance or another. So here Draupadi, first, she tells, please unbind him. He is a Brahmana and he is our spiritual master. Draupadi is so used to seeing Asvatthama on the position of his own father. She gives so much respect. Draupadi is very, very compassionate in nature, so much so that she would never eat until she finishes feeding all the living entities for all those 13 years when they lived in the forest. Not just her husbands, not just the people who came knocking on her door. She'll make sure whoever in the vicinity is fed well, because the Akshaya Patra will stop giving the moment she finishes eating. So she would always be the last person to eat. She would feed everyone. So this is her kindly nature. Her position is she is friend of Krishna. It's very easy for us to think, oh, I would like to be a Gopa. I would like to be a Gopi. I would like to be a friend of Krishna. Being a friend of Krishna means going through this situation and sustaining one's bhakti even in this situation. The situation where Arjuna, number one archer in the world, is encouraged by Supreme Lord Krishna himself. He could have killed him straight away. No, he is still hesitating. Draupadi, she had every reason here to kill. Her 5 husbands would have pounced on him and made him to a pulp. But she is saying, no, release him. These are the qualities of pure devotees, Srila Prabhupada explains. And then she says, you have obligation to your guru. Pandavas, they had kingdom. Not during their entire lives. They had it for some time and then they were taken away. They were without kingdom for 13 years and then they came back and reclaimed it. But something which was always with them was their weapons. At the end of the gambling match, when Yudhishthir Maharaj loses everything, including he loses his kingdom, loses even the privilege to wield all their weapons. All their weapons are gone. Their kingship is gone. And in the process, he also bets Draupadi as well. When Mother Draupadi was actually brought to the assembly of the Kurus, and when she was attempted to be disrobed, at the time Krishna intervenes, supplying her with unlimited clothes. And after the whole episode finishes, at that time, Dhritarashtra, fearing the curse of Draupadi, he asks her, please ask for boon. Please forgive my sins, ask for boon. Then she says, give all the weapons which my husbands have lost in this gambling back to them. Weapons were always with them. They didn't lose even during the gambling match. When they came out, when they went in, they had. When they came out, they still had the weapons. So Draupadi is reminding them, you have an obligation to your guru. Whatever that you are, your identity is based on your position as Kshatriyas, as rulers here. And that prowess has actually come from Dhanur Vidya, knowledge of weaponry, and that was taught by your guru. If your Guru Dronacharya was here, would he allow this to happen? So you have that obligation to your Guru for everything that he has given to you. So Guru's position in one's life is irreplaceable. One can never repay the debt back to one's Guru. It's given in Srimad Bhagavatam, a word is actually given. One who tries to repay the debt to one's Guru, he's a Vinodapatram. Vinodapatram means a clown, a joker. So one can never come to the position of fully repaying the debt. Once they asked this to Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada, you have saved us. You have given us Krishna consciousness. How can we repay you? Prabhupada said, for what I have given, you can never repay me back. But you can try to please me. And how to please? Being a good devotee ourselves, and then spread this knowledge of Krishna consciousness to others in the form of books, form of holy name, in the form of prasad, in the form of association. So in this way, we can try to please Prabhupada, but repaying our debt to Prabhupada is impossible. So here she reminds them that you have obligations to your Guru. And then she says, a son is always seen as other form of father. So killing son means killing father. Killing Asvatthama means killing Dronacharya. So release him. And then she says, you are all Kshatriyas. Kshatriyas are supposed to be serving under the instructions of Brahmanas. In Vedic times it is said, for every 1,000 people, there will be 1 Brahmana, 9 Kshatriya, 90 Vaishya and 900 Shudra. So the head of the society is always the Brahmana. And the Kshatriyas, they are supposed to be taking instruction from the intelligent class, and they are supposed to rule over the prajas, the citizens, based on that counsel of the Brahmanas. Now if the same Kshatriyas, rather than worshipping the Brahmanas, they start killing them, then that will cause havoc in the whole society. Royal order should always be working under the Brahminical council. So Draupadi reminds all the Pandavas, we should not kill him. And then she says, I am a mother. I have lost 5 sons. I am lamenting. I don't want to give the same pain to Asvatthama's mother, Kripi. So release him. She had already lost her husband. He is the only means of support. Release him. We can take a moment to think how deep Draupadi's compassion runs. Arjuna's compassion comes to my mind. In the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna, when he tells to Krishna, Krishna, I will not fight. And he gives a very logical list of reasons why he won't fight. He tells to Krishna, whenever the head of the family is killed, the women become polluted and rest of the family gets involved in irreligion. When the women become polluted, Jayate Varna Shankara, that causes unwanted progeny. And unwanted progeny, they cause pain and trouble to one's life as well as to everyone in the society. And because when the head of the family is killed, the family welfare projects are all stopped. Kuladharma, they are all stopped. And even the forefathers of such families, they fall down because no one will be there to perform Shraddha ceremony of offering food and water to them. And he gives a sequence of reasons. Utsanna kula dharmanam manushyanam janardana narake niyatam vaso bhavatiti anushruma. He says, one who kills the dharma, kula dharma of a family, they have to dwell perpetually in hell. How did I know? Bhavatiti anushruma. I have heard it in my Gurukula. I have heard it from authorized sources. Arjuna, even in that painful situation, foreseeing the impending death of the Kauravas as well as the entire Kaurava army, he just takes a moment to think through. If I kill them, if I pick up a Gandiva, I'm going to kill them. If I kill them, then what will happen? This thought process, this deliberation is very important in the lives of devotees. If you read Uddhava Gita, we'll come to whenever we discuss in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. There's one section where Krishna tells to Uddhava, my devotees, they come from different background. They have been conditioned in so many different ways. They carry their baggage, a karmic baggage. But they have now come to me. They have taken my shelter. They have been chanting. They practice bhakti. Nevertheless, old habits die hard. They'll still be tormented by the waves of desires which they carry. And helplessly, once in a while, they may succumb to old habits. However, by the power of bhakti, over a period of time, they will gain enough strength within their heart, so much so that when they get a tempting thought to go back to old ways, they get a tempting thought to perform some sinful act, at that time they will pause and they will think through. If I perform this heinous act, then I'm going to suffer this way. I'm going to lose my touch with Krishna. The more I indulge in sense gratification, more the distance between me and the Supreme Lord is going to grow. The more I'm going to take backward steps. Deliberating this way, one will get deep realizations, and at that point, they will easily quit whatever bad habits they had or whatever bad thoughts they had harbored within their mind. Goes to show how much Krishna is personal and how much love he has for us, that he is going down to this level of detail and telling us this is how exactly my devotee will come out of their old habits and they will continue to grow in the path of bhakti. You can read, it's in Uddhava Gita. Krishna gives a very detailed analysis, such beautiful analogies also he gives. He says, if you take forest fire comes because of not some external source, it's because of the fire that is caused due to the friction of two trees, a bamboo tree. So when it's extremely dry, weather is also dry, and when wind blows, the trees start to collide with each other, and when they scratch hard enough, strong enough in a certain condition, that causes fire, and that slowly takes over the whole forest, engulfing it, burning everything to ashes, Listen to this point. Burning everything to ashes, including the trees that caused the fire originally. Krishna says, similarly, my devotee engages in my service by doing Navvidha Bhakti, engaging each one of those material senses slowly in my service, and eventually over a period of time they spiritualize themselves, including their entire existence, including the senses, material senses which they had originally engaged, including the material body which they had originally engaged in my service. But by virtue of being engaged in my service, even the material body becomes spiritualized. So Arjuna, even in a situation when he hadn't actually killed, the situation hadn't happened yet, but he's thinking through. True to the instructions of Krishna and Uddhava Gita. But if you look at Draupadi's situation, this situation is even more excruciating, even more painful. Why? Because Arjuna there, he cries for the impending death of his enemies. Arjuna hadn't even killed. In other words, the death hasn't happened, the killing of the army men hadn't happened. But even the very thought was actually making him feel so painful at heart that he is casting down his weapons and he's saying, I won't fight, I don't want anything, let me be a beggar. Now, if you look at that situation to Draupadi's now, this situation is million times more painful, because first thing, it didn't happen to enemies, it happened to her own sons. And second, in Arjuna's situation, he is thinking about a possibility there. Here it's no longer a possibility, it's a reality. Her sons were actually killed. Now, even in this situation, just like how Arjuna did there, in this situation, she is still able to reason. We have seen deaths, we have seen people lamenting. Even as practicing devotees, we are pained. But can you imagine Draupadi losing all her 5 sons just few hours before, crying, deeply pained in her heart, and she is giving the reasoning exactly like how Arjuna had given. This is what it takes to be a friend of Krishna. We can always very easily say, I would like to be a gopi, I would like to be a gopa. Are we exhibiting these qualities? Are we attempting at least to cultivate these qualities? That should be the question we should ask ourselves. So, citing all of these reasons, she tells to Arjuna, spare his life. And Sutta Goswami, when he narrates this, he says Draupadi's speech had 6 different qualities. Dharmyam, Nyayam, Sakarunam. It was totally in accordance with Dharma, which says Brahmanas should not be killed. In fact, even if a Brahmana is accidentally killed, we get dosha. To get rid of dosha, we say, Yani kani chapapani, Brahma hatyadi kani cha. So, circumambulating, Srimati Tulsi Maharani gets rid of one sin, even the sin of killing a Brahmana. It's that sinful. So, he says Draupadi's speech is dharmyam. It is in accordance with dharma. Nyayam, it is based on justice. And what is justice here? When she says, you are whatever you are, because of what Dronacharya has given, and Drona's son is Asvatthama, he should be seen on the same plane as one's guru. Dharmyam, Nyayam, Sakarunam. Even in her most painful situation, she is worried and she is thinking about what will happen to Kripi, what will happen to Guru Patni. Dronacharya is her guru also. But she is worried about what will happen to Guru Mata. She is also one of our 7 mothers. Atma Mata, Guru Patni. Brahmani Raja Patnika, Denu Datri, Tata, Prithvi, Saptaita Matra Smritaha. 7 mothers we all have. One of that mother is Guru Patni, the wife of our teacher. Dharmyam. It is in accordance with Dharma. Nyayam. It is based on justice. Sakarunam. Based on her mercy. Her speech is very merciful. Nirvyalikam. Without any duplicity. Situation is very painful. Rather than being pushed by her emotions, she is pushing back her emotions and she is saying, this is Dharma and this is what you have to do. Even though everyone was in favor of killing. And normally from that situation, if we put ourselves, we will feel, I need a healing here. And the only way how this healing will come about is if I see the same pain is inflicted upon the other person. If you think about it logically, such a statement actually won't make sense. If a person cut me, I've already gone through the pain. How will this ever get neutralized? By cutting the other person who had caused this pain. It will never. But our mind play games with us. Mind will say, you gone through this pain. Physically it's okay, but mentally I have gone through this pain. That person also need to go through. Physically as well as mentally, and then my mind will be healed. That means we are a slave of situation. If we are pained mentally, it's only a software problem. It's very easy to format. We don't need to go cause pain to other people. At the same time, we can't be naive putting ourselves in that situation over and over again. We can avoid the situation and focus our time. Prabhupada, whenever the question comes about simple living and high thinking or varnashrama, Prabhupada would always say, grow grains, grow food. Don't work so hard, 20 hours a day. Prabhupada explaining I was listening to one morning walk and Prabhupada was explaining about the illogical lifestyle which a modern man lives. And Prabhupada is saying, firstly, they don't feel hunger. In order to evoke hunger, they first take appetizer. After taking appetizer, they feel a little hungry and now they overeat the food. And after overeating the food to digest, they drink a little wine or alcohol to help in digestion. But Prabhupada says, but they didn't have hunger in the first place. Hunger itself is artificial, first of all. First thing. Second, then they overeat. That's also not needed. And third thing, after they have overeaten, now to digest that food which they have overeaten, now they take alcohol. So Prabhupada says all three is waste. You didn't feel hungry, don't eat. Chanakya Pandit says that if you are not sure whether you should eat or not, don't eat. But if you are not sure whether you should marry or not, you should marry. So Prabhupada says in Varnashrama Dharma, we simplify our lives, we stay very close to Mother Nature. There are some Vaishnava sports that are given in the Shastras. Wrestling, swimming, gardening. the activities which we do very close to the Panchabhutas, very close to Mother Nature. That's what it teaches us to stay dependent on Krishna. That's what teaches us to remember Krishna all the time. So Varnashrama Dharma means, Prabhupada says, we grow our own food. Why waste your time 20 hours a day working so hard? All you need is just some food to eat. You grow your own food. Rest of the time, sit and chant Hare Krishna. So Prabhupada's instructions, Prabhupada's priority was very clear. But this simple lifestyle, we can't sit cozy, feeling, wow, I have my farm and I'm feeling very happy. Prabhupada says, no. Now you have to invite the whole world and show them, showcase how simply by growing our food and chanting Hare Krishna we can be happy, and make sure everyone also follows. That's the preaching part. So, without any duplicity, normally in a situation when we are there, we will let all the emotions come and influence our judgment. But Draupadi pushes back all of that and she says, no. Pain is already caused. How is causing pain to the other person gonna heal me anyway? Only person who can heal me is the Supreme Lord, Krishna himself. So she's saying, no. Nirvyalikam samam. She's a mother who has lost 5 kids, and she is also treating Kripi, who is the mother of Asvatthama and wife of Dronacharya. She is treating her and Kripi on the same platform. I went through this pain. She will also go through the pain. Why should she? Draupadi is worried not only about Asvatthama, she is worried about Asvatthama's mother. She is worried about Asvatthama's father as well. And finally, Mahat. Mahat means glorious. How the Kshatriyas, they are always supposed to work under the Brahmanas. And in no circumstance should they work against the Brahmanas. So we have to be very mindful when we deal with our superiors. Dharmyam, Nyayam, which is in accordance with Dharma, Dharmyam, Nyayam, Sakarunam, Nirvyalikam, Samam, Mahat. Has to be in accordance with Dharma, it has to be in accordance with justice. It has to be in accordance with giving mercy and compassion to others. It should be without duplicity, it should be equal, and it should be glorious. So Suta Goswami lists these qualities of the speech of Draupadi. And then he narrates, when everyone there heard the words of Draupadi, almost everyone agreed. Almost only. Nakul agreed, Sahadev, Krishna, Satyaki, Arjuna, everyone. But Bhima was infuriated. Just looking at Asvatthama there. And Bhima says, no, we have to kill him. So when Bhima says that, Krishna, just to give him support, Krishna also joins Bhima. Even though initially Krishna had told Arjuna to kill, and then Krishna switched sides, going to Draupadi's side, saying, yeah, we should not kill. And now when he sees Bhima angry, Krishna again switches side. And Krishna says to Arjuna, so Arjuna, now you have a task of satisfying Draupadi as well as both Bhima and me. And at this point, Vyasadeva says, or addresses Krishna as Chaturbhuja. Even though Krishna displayed Saumya Rupa, Shama Sundar Rupa, two-handed beautiful form. At this instance, when Krishna tells to Arjuna, you have to satisfy Draupadi as well as Bhima and me, at that time, Vyasadeva uses the word Chaturbuja. And Prabhupada explains, normally Krishna has got only two arms, but because now there are two conflicting thoughts or two different thoughts here. So to pacify both the sides, Krishna had manifested two more extra arms. With the two arms he is consoling Bhima and with two arms he is consoling Draupadi. So Prabhupada says this is why Krishna is addressed as Chaturbuja here. So when Arjuna was given the instruction by Krishna this way, Arjuna thinks for some time. He pulls out his sword and he cuts off the hair of Asvatthama. He also removes the jewel which Asvatthama was born with, just like Karna was born with beautiful kundala given by Surya Dev. Similarly, Asvatthama was also born with a very special jewel that gave him extra energy. So because of that, he was a very, very powerful warrior. Arjuna removes the jewel, Arjuna cuts off his hair. And when Asvatthama loses both, Asvatthama loses his energy because he lost the jewel, and Asvatthama also loses the luster in his body, the effulgence of his body because of Balahatya, because of infanticide, killing innocent kids. And then Arjuna drives him out of the camp. He unbinds him, removes the tying, and then he unties him and then he drives him out of the camp. There are three ways how, even if a Brahmana does some mistake, can be punished. And it's given that Arjuna did all the three. Arjuna cut off the hair, Arjuna deprived him of his wealth, and Arjuna drove him from his residence. So these are the prescribed methods of punishment to Brahmanas in case if they violate. But Brahmanas can never be killed. But their hair can be cut off, their wealth can be taken away, and they can be driven away from their residence. But the life of Brahmanas should always be spared. So after Asvatthama leaves, Draupadi, accompanied by all the Pandavas and other relatives, they do the final rites for all the 5 departed sons of the Pandavas. This is how this chapter finishes. And next we will discuss about prayers of Mother Kunti. We'll stop here. If you have any questions, you can ask. Chirag Prajapati. Prabhuji, what was the reason why the Supreme Personality of Godhead was testing Arjuna by telling him to kill Asvatthama? What was the Supreme Personality trying to teach Arjuna? Good question. They asked this question to Prabhupada in one room conversation. Prabhupada says that Krishna sometimes tests his devotees. And then the devotees get scared. Even we'll get scared. So when they asked Prabhupada, so Prabhupada, if we pass the test, then there'll be more and more tests. Prabhupada says, no, Krishna is not like that. He'll test you once. And once you pass, that's it. And then they ask Prabhupada, that's it, Krishna won't test again. Prabhupada says, no, he won't test again. So here, Krishna is putting each one of his devotees in a situation to exude the glorious Vaishnava qualities, so that the whole world will know about their glory. Normally, there is a school of thought or a wrong understanding about Mother Draupadi, that she was the one who caused the war, she was the one who was actually the reason for Kaurava's army to be wiped off and everything. That's only one aspect. But you look at her compassion. But the Kauravas were routed, they were killed for right reasons. They deserved it. So, Supreme Personality of Godhead, He is not like a hard task master, giving us the toughest questions, and whenever we fail, He rejoices, clapping His hands like, ha ha, I have failed that devotee. That's not Krishna. Krishna puts us through situations so we learn from the situation, we grow from that situation, and we inspire others through our reaction to that situation. Prahlad Maharaj's glories would have gone unnoticed if his father was not a demon. Gopi's glories would have gone unnoticed if they were all happily married to Krishna, like the queens of Dwarka. Vibhishan's glories may not be known to the whole world if he was not born in a demoniac family. Shabari's glories, if not she was born as a tribal woman. So we can keep on going from one situation. Sudama Vipra, if not he is not in an impoverished condition. So if you analyze all the pastimes of the pure devotees of the Lord, they were all put in tough situation, not to put them down. They were all put in tough situation so that by studying, analyzing, discussing about their lives, we can take inspiration from them. Arjuna had to deal with such a tough situation. Prahlad Maharaj had to deal with such a great demoniac or such a worst demoniac father. At least my situation is much easier. It's easy for us to take inspiration like that. So, so-called test which Krishna puts his devotees through, they are not in the same level as our understanding of an exam. It's not like that. Test here refers to a situation which Krishna creates, and a situation where Krishna tastes the best of bhakti and simultaneously using that situation to glorify about his devotees. That's the reason Krishna does that. Can you please elaborate why Draupadi has to go through the excruciating pain of her sons lost? Well, what would you do? What would anyone do? A person had actually lost their sons, natural. They asked this question also to Prabhupada. The day when Abhimanyu was killed, Arjuna was crying. The devotees asked Prabhupada, Arjuna had already heard Bhagavad Gita in its entirety, correct? He did that even before the first day of the war started. He knew that he is not the body, he is spirit soul. He knew that Krishna is Aham Bija Prajapita. Krishna is the seed-giving father for all living entities. Arjuna has all the knowledge. Despite being armed with such a huge repertoire of knowledge, why was Arjuna lamenting over the death of his son, Abhimanyu? Prabhupada says, devotees have that emotion. Now let's play devil's advocate here. If Arjuna hadn't cried, guess what we will be asking? Why didn't Arjuna cry? Why was Arjuna so hard-hearted? Does practicing bhakti make one so hard-hearted? No. Prabhupada says it's natural for humans to have emotions. but one doesn't get completely bogged down or attached to that situation. And Prabhupada says, yes, Arjuna cried, but look at how quick he rebounded. Arjuna inflicted maximum damage. Next one day alone, he killed 1 million soldiers. So rather than decreasing his service, as normally we do, whenever, slight fever, I'm not going to do anything. Weather is bad, I'm not going to do any service today. Weather is good, I'm not going to do any service today. I'm very sad, I'm not going to do seva. I'm actually very busy today, I'm not going to do seva. We look for every excuse not to practice bhakti, but we look at pure devotees, despite the worst possible situation they can ever come across, still they stuck to the path of bhakti, stuck to the instructions of Krishna. So Prabhupada said, Arjuna went through that emotion as is natural. Devotees do have emotions, but they are not attached to it. They console themselves. Yes, whatever that had happened is for good. Oh Krishna, please teach me how to see your hand in all the situations. Please teach me what am I supposed to learn from this situation. This will be the prayer of the devotees. Daumya Rishi Das. So nice to see Tony Prabhu's name. Daumya Rishi Prabhu. Prabhuji, sometimes I get confused by Krishna's contradictory instructions to his devotees. Me too. Is he trying to teach us how and when to apply our intelligence and logic to every situation we face? Exactly. Krishna doesn't want us to use sentiment. The time when we will curse ourselves is not the time when we get cheated. We used our intelligence and got cheated in life. We just shrug it off and we move on. Because we know, okay, I tried my best. Based on my deliberation, I thought this is the right thing to do and I did it. Okay, it backfired. People betrayed me. You'll move on. No problem. However, the situation which will cause us maximum pain is when we know what's the right thing to do, we know what we are supposed to do, and we know it is within our capacity to do. Still, we go with the sentiment and make a wrong decision. That will cause a lot of pain. And that may be because of persuasion of someone else or some of your friends. Even though the suggestion of my friend is wrong, I know this is the right thing to do. But still we went to the sentiment, oh, my friend is asking me to do, let me just go with the flow. If I say this, what will my friend think? That's his problem. It's not our problem. Sentiment we can show only to Krishna, but there also it should be based on intelligence. It has to be shastric. So one has to be very, very mindful. Even in the practice of bhakti. Aikantiki harer bhakti utpatayava kalpate. Shruti smriti puranadi pancharatri vidim vina. Aikantiki harer bhakti utpatayava kalpate. Which means, if one practices even Hari Bhakti, but not in accordance with Shruti, Vedas, Smriti, Puranas, Shruti, Smriti, Puranati, Pancharatri Vidhi. Vidim Vina. Without following the injunctions of the Vedas, the Puranas, the Pancharatrik Vidhis, Aikantik Harer Bhakti, even if one practices Harer Bhakti, Utpataiva Kalpate, it will only cause disturbance in the society. So whatever we do, even in Krishna consciousness, has to be in accordance with the instructions of the previous acharyas. Once one disciple of Prabhupada was singing a bhajan. And Prabhupada said, I didn't teach you that, I didn't authorize that. And the disciple says, no Prabhupada, but I found this in this book, this is written by a bona fide acharya in our parampara. And Prabhupada says, mantra may be bona fide, but it may not be authorized. Being bona fide is different, being authorized is different. Prabhupada says, our parampara acharyas didn't sing that, so we don't sing, even though it may be bona fide. So many times we have this tendency to read everything but Prabhupada's books. to take instructions from everyone except from our spiritual master, to hear lectures of everyone except from Prabhupada and spiritual master. That tendency is wrong. Because if we do that, it simply means that I want to practice bhakti, but in a way that I like. But that defeats the purpose. If we practice bhakti the way we like, completely ignoring our guru, Siksha guru, who are we pleasing? And without pleasing our spiritual masters, how can we please Krishna? The last line, 2 lines of Sikshashtakam, or rather, Guru Ashtakam, we sing every day. Yasya prasadat bhagavat prasado, yasya aprasadat nagati kutopi. Yasya prasadat bhagavat prasado means by pleasing the spiritual master, one automatically pleases Supreme Lord. Yasya aprasada, if one displeases the Guru, or if one doesn't please the Guru, nagati kutopi, there is no gati, there is no success in one's life. Because if Guru is displeased, spiritual master is displeased, Supreme Lord is also displeased. Now, in instance when we completely ignore the instructions and we do something, who are we pleasing? Nobody we are pleasing. Because to go to Krishna directly, it's impossible. It has to be through Guru, but Guru's instructions we are ignoring. Now, what's the use of bhakti? So we have to be very mindful and we have to follow the instructions that way. So these instructions which Prabhupada has given through books, we have to read, we have to imbibe, we have to try our best to cultivate, and we have to make it as part of our value system. It should define who we are. Then, when Gopinath sees us sincerely practicing Guru's instructions, then he will be pleased. Sometimes I notice from the altar, after the Darshan Arati finishes, when Guru Puja happens, most of the devotees will be facing Prabhupada and dancing for the Guru Puja. But there will always be some small group of devotees facing the altar and praying to Radha Gopinath very, very intently. I always say, during Guru Puja, don't waste your time. Gopinath is not listening to your prayers. He is too busy watching how devotees are worshipping Prabhupada. Na bhakta pujaadika, which means Krishna himself says, what is more important than even worshipping me is worshipping my devotees. Prabhupada is pure devotee of the Lord. Prabhupada is the only reason why we all come together. Prabhupada is the only reason why even now I am talking. Prabhupada is the reason for everything. So we can't think, oh, I will just go to Gopinath now directly. No, once my Guru Maharaj sends a letter to Prabhupada. It's there in the folio, you can read it, you can Google and see. And they were building Mayapur temple at that time, Mayapur Chandrodaya Mandir. This is in early 70s. And he sends a mail letter to Prabhupada saying, Prabhupada, we spend a lot of time during the whole day doing the construction work. And the work starts much early in the morning. I'm not able to attend the whole morning program. And I feel very guilty. Prabhupada replies back saying, it's all right, because the construction is going on, you have to see what is actually needed. Even if you are not able to attend any program during the day, listen to this carefully, even if you are not able to attend any program during the day, you should attend Guru Puja at least, because that is the most important program. And now here we have devotees who are in the temple during Guru Puja, but not attending Guru Puja and taking darshan of Gopinath. Last week I was telling to one devotee, don't waste your time. Gopinath is not listening. Any prayer you offer to Gopinath during Guru Puja, he is not listening. You are wasting your time. And don't disturb him because he is too keen seeing how Prabhupada is worshipped. So, the way to reach Krishna is only through spiritual masters. But Krishna wants us to use intelligence. That intelligence comes from studying Shastras. So at every point, because in Kali Yuga people cheat in so many ways, even in the name of religion, only causing disturbance. Okay, so Krishna wants us to deliberate, Krishna wants us to use intelligence in our lives at every step. Krishna's mercy is his instructions. And if we take that instructions and shape up our life and keep that as the guiding light to make decisions, then we are known as intelligent people. Okay? Jai Prakash Prabhu. Arjuna has been asked to fight against his gurus, although he was initially compassionate not to fight. In this case, Draupadi was compassionate of not killing even the guru's son. How can we reconcile? Good point. The motive on one level or the situation on one level looks the same. Arjuna's duty there as a Kshatriya is to fight, come what may. Whoever there may be in the opponent side, Arjuna as a Kshatriya, he is supposed to impart dharma. And in order to impart dharma, there is a severe injustice that's given. Prabhupada explains in the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita how 6 types of people have to be killed, and killing whom one never incurs sin. One who has poisoned others, one who steals one's property, one who sets one's house on fire, one who steals away one's wife, so on and so forth. And if you look at Kauravas, they have done all of them. Actually, they ticked all the boxes there. They tried to poison Bhima, they tried to Varanavat, they tried to burn the Pandavas to death by lighting fire to the home where they actually live. So you will see they have taken away their kingdom, so on and so forth. So Arjuna as a Kshatriya, he has to now follow his Kshatriya code and he has to impart justice. Even though he may be saying, okay, I'm happy to just accept this. But Krishna, that's one of the reasons he says, for somebody who is detached, they have 2 choices. Either they can do their work or they can completely stay away from work because they are detached. They are jnanis and they don't want anything. But Krishna says, you have 2 choices. Either you can fight or you can do your work or not do your work. Even if you claim yourself to be a jnani, you are detached to it. Krishna says, because you have the choice to either do your work or not do your work, you still go with the choice of doing the work, not for yourself, but to set a good example for the whole world. So in this case, Arjuna, for his own sake, he is saying no problem. But Kurukshetra war is not about a family. It's about an entire kingdom. It's about the prajas. It's about kingship of the whole world. There, Arjuna's personal likes and dislike has got only a certain amount of weightage. Because billions of people's lives, their progress in their spirituality, everything is at stake. But in this case, if you see, it's totally at the discretion. It's a total family affair. And as a family, they don't want to press charges. And nobody from outside can come and tell Arjuna, you have to do this, don't do this. Arjuna is the victim here. Pandavas alone are the victims here. So it's totally at their discretion to go with either killing Asvatthama or not. But because they are all pure devotees, they just let him go. Okay? Srikant Sena Prabhu. It seems like Krishna is open to changing his mind based on prayer's request of the devotee. Does this mean that we need to be open with our request to spiritual master and or Krishna? Sometimes can be shy. Krishna is open to changing his mind based on prayer's request of the devotee. Yes. Does this mean that we need to be open with our request to spiritual master and our Krishna? Absolutely. Krishna is a person. I remember on this particular point, Bhakti Rasana Sagar Maharaj, he mentioned one beautiful point in one class in Sydney. He said, normally Krishna doesn't like to intervene in the free will of conditioned souls. Normally he doesn't. Why? Because then that defeats the purpose of even creating this material world. The very purpose why Krishna created the material world is to facilitate our free will, which is we want to be forgetful of Krishna and we want to just enjoy here, quote unquote. So normally Krishna doesn't like to intervene with the free will of the jivas, which is to stay away from Krishna. However, when a pure devotee like Prabhupada, he offers prayers to Krishna, Krishna's decision to not intervene in the free will of the jivas can be superseded by the ardent prayer of a pure devotee like Prabhupada, where Prabhupada says, "Oh my dear Krishna, please accept these fallen conditioned souls at your lotus feet. Please give them intelligence. Please give them inspiration." Then Krishna thinks, there's my desire, Prabhupada's desire. Then Krishna puts aside his desire and he goes with Prabhupada's desire. Many instances. Once Tamal Krishna Maharaj, he admits himself to a hospital in Mumbai, I think for hernia or some operation. So or appendicitis, something like that. So he admits himself. Prabhupada, when he comes to know, he rushes towards the hospital to tell to Tamal Krishna Maharaj, at that point of time facilities weren't good, you better go back to US and get treated there. But by the time Prabhupada arrives at the hospital, they had already administered anesthesia and they have taken Tamal Krishna Maharaj to the operation theatre. So Prabhupada waits. Operation is completed, comes out. Prabhupada still waits. Tamal Krishna Maharaj, finally he opens his eyes. And then Prabhupada tells him the purpose why he came, and Prabhupada says it's all right. Take it as Krishna's will. Krishna wanted you to get operated here. And then Tamal Krishna Maharaj tells to Prabhupada, Prabhupada, when I was in the influence of anesthesia, I had a dream. And in that dream, we were all there and you were going and presenting our services to all the previous Paramparacharyas. And then when you actually said that, you told them they are all coming from sinful background. They struggle so much. They are still not perfect. But they have one good quality. And that is, whatever I ask them to do, they will do. And Tamal Krishna Maharaj says, when our Parampara Acharyas heard that statement, they said, yes, this is true. We can accept them all. So when Tamal Krishna Maharaj asks this to Prabhupada, Prabhupada, is this true? Prabhupada says, yes. So Krishna's mind can't be changed easily by ordinary souls, but pure devotees, yes. So Prabhupada's ardent prayers changed the mind of Krishna, and Krishna made himself to be readily available. 5,000 years, he wasn't that easily available. But Prabhupada made it available throughout the whole world. Sounds like just listen to Srila Prabhupada and your ISKCON Guru, and no one else is institutional control of one's bhakti. We should definitely listen to Prabhupada. We should definitely listen to our own Guru. And whoever else we find inspiration from, we can listen to. We come to temple, listen to the class. We may have other Siksha Gurus also. We can have unlimited Siksha Gurus. That's not a problem. But the general tendency is, I will listen to everyone except my Guru and Prabhupada. That is wrong. And if you have to choose, you better stick to only Prabhupada. Prabhupada's position is indispensable. We have to hear Prabhupada. We have to read from Prabhupada. we have to listen to our Guru. Again, one other school of thought is, oh, we come from a Siksha line, so it doesn't matter whether I hear from my Guru or other speakers, it doesn't matter. No, it does matter. And there is one difference in terms of our relationship between us and our Siksha Gurus and us and our Diksha Gurus, the other way around. There is one difference between relationship between Siksha Gurus and us and our Diksha Gurus and us. And that is, our Diksha Guru takes away all our sins. Our Diksha Guru commits to taking us back to Godhead. Our Diksha Guru has promised that no matter how many times you take birth in this material world, he will be born again to take us back. Our Diksha Guru will suffer if I do anything sinful after taking Diksha. Whereas Siksha Guru can actually sit somewhere in the world, they can actually give a class and they just go move on. How is this same as this? It can't be. Our relationship with Diksha Guru is definitely special, more special than our relationship with any Guru. Only other person with whom we have that level of connection is Srila Prabhupada. Our Diksha Guru is representative of Srila Prabhupada. So our Diksha Guru's position and Prabhupada's position are indispensable. Other things are optional. You may have other Siksha Gurus, you may not have other Siksha Gurus, it doesn't matter. But what is absolutely mandatory for us to hear, read from and understand is, and follow is from Prabhupada and our Diksha Gurus. Okay, so this statement sometimes I hear is being used very loosely. Ours is just a Siksha line. So you just go take a Diksha from someone and you completely ignore them and just focus on others. That's a very ungrateful position. Is this how we reciprocate to someone who has taken that level of commitment to take us back to Godhead, to share the effect of our sinful activities, who has actually promised to actually come back and no matter how many times we are born again, they'll take, who have taken away all the sins at the time of initiation and give, and reciprocation is, I ignore them. How is this Nyayam? Absolutely not. It's just sometimes people think too much and they come up with, wow, I've come up with one concocted idea. Because it sounds different, it has to be scientific. That's how it works these days. So these days you can say anything which is not mentioned in the Shastras and say this is scientific. So we have to be very careful and not fall prey to that temptation. That my Guru, Diksha Guru has taken that commitment. Siksha Guru didn't take. Siksha Guru will just be very cool. Siksha Guru will keep giving advice. But my Guru will suffer for my activities. My Guru will take me back to spiritual world. My connection with Krishna starts with my Diksha Guru. So it's absolute must. That's why choosing one's Diksha Guru, Prabhupada says the only way how you identify your Diksha Guru is by hearing. Okay. All right, we will stop here and we'll start with next chapter coming Saturday. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Radha Gopinath Bhagwan ki jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Samaved Gaur Bhakta ki jai. Jai Nitai Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga.